beautiful people, Zach Dowdy here. Good morning. It's like 7 in the morning here at Linda Vista Skate Park. Super fun park, but it gets packed really early, so I'm super hyped to get into today's video about backside tail slides as well as just how to skate transition pull coping. I think I've had that request quite a bit on this channel, is how do you skate pull coping differently than metal coping. So I want to get into that a little bit, as well as just how to backside tail slide and just some general tips on transition. So super hyped to jump into today's video. I'm going to stretch out and then we're going to get into it. Al was telling me this is like a good way to kind of get your legs warmed up and stretched in the morning without like straining too much. I should probably figure out like a good morning exercise stretch to break it in. I've been skating in the mornings a lot lately, so should stretch anytime before you really start skating. It's good, but we don't pull anything. I've done a backside tail slide trick tip before. It was kind of submerged in another video. This one specifically into the backside tail slide because I feel like there was a lot that I left out. And there's a lot of little tips and tricks that you can do for backside tail slides on transition. It's actually not really a really hard trick. It's just about finding out the little techniques that allow it to work. Just a reminder, I am uploading every day this month, so make sure you leave some comments down below, questions, so I can answer them at the end of every video. Backside tail slide and backside tail saw are definitely two different tricks, and you got to approach them and execute them differently. So first you need to learn how to backside tail stall, and all you really need to know how to do is backside kick turns and drop in. Once you have those fundamentals down, you can definitely learn backside tail stalls, and then eventually you can learn the slide. First thing we're going to go to is the backside stalls. This is a good quarter pipe behind me to learn them on. Something small like that is really nice because there's more room for trial and error. And a lot of the backside tail stall is in the scoop, and a lot of people tend to ollie into it. You really don't need an ollie, it's a lot in the scoop. And figuring out the scoop has a lot to do with your stance. You want to use your back pivot little area in your board with your back foot right where my back foot is here, and your front foot is really kind of leveling everything out. Your front foot is sort of keeping the thing stable in a way. A lot of times when you see people actually sliding the back tail, their front foot will come off on transition. That's a pretty common theme. When it comes to the stall, you definitely want it on there. A lot of the scoop is in your back foot, and you're basically kind of like scooting your back wheels sideways, almost like power sliding up the transition, and then locking it into drop-in position, and then just dropping in like you normally drop in. Once you're into the tail, it's pretty much just like a regular drop-in, but like, yeah, that scoop into the stall is really important. It's really crucial for getting catapulted to the sliding. When it comes to obstacles that you should be trying this on, something steep enough is going to work in your favor. You want there to be enough steep transition so that you can lock and slide. When it's really mellow transition like the quarter pipe we're just doing stalls on, you can't really slide it because your wheels are in too much friction, too much contact with the transition. So essentially you kind of need to have enough gap, have enough like non-resistance. So the steeper the transition is, the bulkier the coping is, the more you can slide it, the more you can really lock in, because if it's really mellow transition and really sunk in coping, you're gonna have a hard time locking in it and sliding it. Just kind of stall, and then you're gonna fall forward. Tomorrow I'm actually posting a video skating backyard pulls, and we go into the types of pull coping that there is, me and Al. We go into the details, but when you're at skate parks like this one, this pull coping is like perfect. Like if you look at this, there's barely any lip really. It's like the same as metal coping. So my point being is like a lot of skating pull coping is psychological. It's in your head and you kind of get overworked, like, oh, I need to do things differently and I'm gonna hang up and all of that stuff, where that is a factor you have to consider, but I think it's a little bit out of sight, out of mind, because pull coping is very similar to galvanized regular steel coping. The difference is that the sound, A, it's much more satisfying to grind, and then B, there is more of a lip, but that can work into your advantage and you just have to come off of it. So when you're skating pull coping, just think of it as like you can lock in better. So for tail slides, for example, it's gonna be great for backside tail slides. I can really lock into there. On this pull coping, I was just doing some tail slides back over here, and I was really able to lock it in and push my slide, and that's essentially like a good way to get your slide going. We're gonna go into like how to actually slide the backside tail slides in a second, but yeah, when it comes to pull coping, I think a lot of it is in your head, and it's just getting used to it. Like constantly skating pull coping is gonna help. If you have a skateboard that has it, that's gonna be really helpful. If you don't have a skateboard that has pull coping, obviously it's gonna be harder to get confident with the pull coping, but the one thing I would say there is just try to skate some bigger coping. There is metal coping that's like much harder than pull coping because it's just like super fat and beefy. So yeah, I think a little bit it's in your head, and then just how you get in and you come out, it's a little bit differently. Just think of it as like a pinch. You kind of think of it as like a square flat rail versus a round rail. Like pull coping is like a round rail, a square flat rail is kind of like the regular metal coping. So you kind of do execute things differently, but there's like pinch spots and there's things that will allow you to do it, you know, execute your trick a lot better and easier in a way. Like a backsmith grind on pull coping is a lot easier than on metal coping. So yeah, hopefully that helps a little bit with your confidence on skating pull coping. So 8 o'clock just hit and the park is getting busy. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the backside tail slide. One of the things that I noticed when I was trying to do the backside tail slides when I was first getting kind of warmed up today is that I was too high over it, and that was kind of shooting me off to the side. And one of the scariest things when you're learning this trick is that your board is really underneath you. So like learning how to bell it can be pretty tough because your board's right there. You can land back on it, which is like the worst case scenario. Anybody knows if you're a skateboarder, slamming back onto your board when you're trying to bell is scary and it's really difficult. So something that I would say to kind of like counterbalance that is get really low. That's what I noticed. Is like, as soon as I started tucking my body in, getting a little low, and like holding my shoulders down instead of like keeping them wide, that really allowed me to like stay compact and control the board and control the slide, even to the point to where if I did slip out, I could kind of like slide onto my butt and shoot my board out versus like being tall and like not really knowing what to do and kind of rolling up the windows with the board underneath you. Scary situation. So yeah. When it comes to the tail slide, it is a lot of that scooping motion. You want to have a nice long quarter pipe so you can really draw out the angle. You want to go at like quite a bit of an angle to get into the slide. And it's the same thing as the stall once you get into the slide, but you're just holding it and then dropping back in. And again, one of the things is just like keeping your shoulders turned while you're sliding. As soon as you open your shoulders back up, if you're sliding, you're gonna lose all that slide momentum and your board's just gonna shoot out, and you're gonna kind of do that flailing thing that you probably see me do in a couple clips. So yeah, keeping your shoulders turned as you're sliding, kind of tucked in, keeping that scoop motion, and you almost wanna like stand still as you slide and like don't do anything. That's like your pinch spot, and then slowly open your shoulders back up and drop in when you're ready to go in. So as soon as you do this with your shoulders and you kind of churn back into the transition, you're gonna fall into the transition. So that's how you can kind of like aim your tail slide. And if you want to hold the tail slide for longer, it's really about just like crossing those shoulders and keeping those shoulders crossed. And then when you're ready to go in, letting the shoulders back open and dropping in. Now this is said easier than done. This is just my perspective on how to backside tail slide. I think as time goes on, I'll probably think of some other tips. But anyways, leave me some comments down below with the other trick tips that you guys want to see during this monthly vlog series, or any other videos that you'd like to see from me. I'm definitely gonna do some more DIY stuff, like I said in yesterday's video. We're doing a pull jam video soon, and I also have like a ride-on ledge kind of DIY type of video that I'm gonna do soon. Super hyped for that. So anyways, appreciate all you guys. Smash that like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're not already, and we'll see you tomorrow. Mash.